Hello everyone, welcome to Sound of Manchester episode 10. And today it's going to be a slightly longer one as we review our matches against Arsenal and Wolves. And it's been a disappointing week in my opinion. The New Year's not started very well for us. A terrible performance at the Emirates against Arsenal, and today's nil-nil draw at Wolves was not so great as well. I have Naved with me here who will sum up the Arsenal game in a few lines. So Naved, what did you think about a performance versus Arsenal at the Emirates?
Yeah, I think of course like every United fan, I'm also very disappointed of the result. But I think it was characteristic of our season. We win two games, then we lose one, we draw one. So now we've lost one against Arsenal, we've drew one against Wolves. So I'm hoping for a Man City win. But yeah,
Yeah,
talking about the game, talking about the game, I think Arteta set up his team really well. The way they played us without the ball when we didn't have the ball. They pressed us really well. They didn't let us counter. They didn't let James and Marcus. They didn't let them run into spaces as much. And either way, we didn't have someone like Paul Pogba to give those through passes. And so the lack of creativity in the midfield as well helped Arteta's team somewhat. But yeah, I think overall it was a very disappointing performance, both in terms of our defense and in terms of the attack. Fred and Matic were probably our best players, but that kind of sums it up when Matic is one of our best players in the field, right? That's how we realized that at least eight of our players have had a bad game. That kind of included De Gea as well, where he almost made a mistake. I think
yeah,
the defense was quite sloppy with Maguire. I think Maguire had his worst game yet. I still think he's a decent defender, but I don't think he's what we thought he would be. So yeah, I think overall, I think it was a very disappointing performance.
yeah. I agree with that. But what do you think about Ole's team selection? I mean, you see Greenwood, he's been scoring whenever he's played, and Pereira had a couple of assists, I think, against Burnley, and the game against Arsenal, both of them were dropped, and Lingard and James were made to start. I think so. I think James would have been better off the bench because Arsenal were exposed against Chelsea in the last 15 minutes, and Chelsea went on to win the game. So if James would have come off the bench, I think he would have troubled the likes of Socrates and Mustafi. So, do you think he got the team selection wrong in the first place?
I agree. I agree with your point. I think Andreas especially should have started when he came on in place of Lingard. I think there was a bit of a difference. I think he did try. He did play a few good passes.
Yeah,
Greenwood, the front three I think was the right selection that we did on paper and how we played previously. Um, I I I didn't think Greenwood needed to start this game. It was a tough game away to Emirates. I think he would have wanted him to have his chance later in the game, give him a few minutes, let him feel how the atmosphere is. But then, of course, he had to come into a game where we were losing, which doesn't do well for his confidence either way. So at the end of the day, well, you could look back at it and say that, I mean, Ole should have started Greenwood, but in the hindsight, if you would have asked any Man United fan before the game, I think at least most Man United fans before the game, they would have said they would have still started with James because James uh, has been probably, along with Rashford, one of our most consistent players. Even though we haven't seen him perform, we haven't seen him perform as much as Rashford, but we've seen him do much better than what we expected, and I think he's done decently well on the right hand side coming into the Premier League this season. So yeah, I think other than the Andreas one, I think all the other selections were forced. He didn't really have much options in the middle of the park, and I think
yeah,
he trusts Maguire and Lindelof to start every game, which we saw tonight as well. So I think I would have started the same front three, but I would have played Andreas there.
yeah. I think I'm gonna agree with that. Now, speaking of after the game, there were a couple of comments by Van Persie. We saw Ole smiling after the interview, after the game, and so I don't think it was that big of a deal. But RVP did said that after such a game, he should be smiling. So I would like to ask Prathamesh, what did he make of Ole's post-match interviews?
Yes, I think Ole did have a smile on his face despite losing to Arsenal. But then you look at Ole and he just seems like the kind of person who has a smile on his face no matter what he does. Even during his playing days, he used to smile. So I don't believe he's the kind of person who's going to go somewhere and sulk. So maybe in front of the camera, he doesn't prefer sulking, and then that is what he did. He was just smiling in a way because he's just a jolly person. So yeah, it doesn't look good, especially when you lose in such a bad manner to Arsenal, where you get totally outplayed. But that's the kind of person which Ole is, and I think that just got reflected on there. And at the same point of time, I feel Robin putting that out in the media and saying that it wasn't right of Ole. Yes, it did not look right at all. But I don't know what to say right now because maybe it's that kind of an attitude which Ole has, which you can't help at this point of time. That is just what he is. You can't change a person after such a long spell. So I think that was all right. And at the same point of time, Ole's comments in the pre-match press conference when he lashed out at Robin van Persie suggests a few things. It does suggest that he is in a phase where he feels that he's under pressure, and he never felt this kind of pressure with people commenting on him. But I do believe now that even the board is pressing on him. So, and that is where the pressure just got lashed out on Robin van Persie, and
Yeah,
that's all. I
but
just feel that it. I just feel that Ole is a slightly jolly person. It doesn't necessarily show on the pitch, but yeah, I think that's the kind of person he is, and it did not look right. But you don't exactly blame him either.
yeah, I sort of agree. But then there's one place where I will disagree. Is like he took offense at the wrong place, right? I mean, there was no need to be offended by RVP's comments. RVP is obviously a pundit, right? And he has every right to comment on what he's seeing on the pitch, off the pitch, in interviews, you know. So I think instead of picking out Lingard or let's say Maguire's performance, he's taking offense to RVP's comment, which in my opinion, is absolutely useless, and he's just wasting time. So he might be a jolly person, we don't know, but I think it was just a waste of time. And I would also like to ask Naved's opinion on this. What did he make out of Ole's and RVP's recent interactions?
I think I saw the interview. I think the laughing part of the interview. Fine. I mean, that's how Ole is. Just you. That's what he said. You have to accept him how he is. He doesn't want to live in the medieval times. But
Yeah,
with regards to the RVP comment, I think that was a bit much in my opinion. It was snide of Ole to do that to Robin, and I think it was also the way the question was framed to him. By the journalist. If you read the question again, it was framed in such a way the journalist didn't really say what exactly did RVP say, but he just told him that the comment was against his management style. So which Ole suddenly took very very offense to, and I think this is all part of the pressure that is building up on him. It was a very snap reaction to him. I've seen quite a few press conferences of his, but I've
yeah.
never seen him snap out to something like this before. And
But
it was yeah, go on.
yeah, but Navin, don't you feel that the pressure is growing on Ole from inside the board as well? And maybe he just felt that Robin is probably one of those easier pundits in terms of lashing onto rather than lashing onto someone like a Neville or a Ferdinand or any other club legend. It would be easier to him to lash onto someone and probably get his anger out in some way, whatever possible. So I felt in that terms Robin was an easy target for him to lash out at, and he just went at it. I think not. It is not just the pressure that is growing on him. I think it's the fact that he's not able to get the kind of players which he wants. I think that it is pretty visible that we do need players, but he's not able to get the kind of players we saw. Dortmund snap of
Yeah.
Haaland. So I think that's the kind of thing that is absolutely not okay with Ole, and I think at some point of time it was about to happen that he's going to snap at someone. and Robin was probably the easier target, so that's what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but I don't think he thought. Sorry, I don't think he thought that much into it, whether RVP is a soft target or no. I think it was a snap in the moment where he just snapped. Sometimes people just snap, and I haven't really seen Ole doing that, but I think maybe that's a result of the pressure building up into it, more from outside the club, I think, than from inside, because we've seen the club come out time and again and back him, and I think that's probably the only thing they can do right now is back him. They can't. There's not really much to change outside. There's not really much they can do. All they can do is just back him. And I think rather than inside, I think there's more pressure coming in from the outside, and I think that's what he wants to repel. And I think he's done that with regards to his players. He's protected his players, but with in terms of him, I don't know how good he's taking it.
Yeah. So speaking of pressure, anyways, nil draw tonight against a very good Wolves side. Now, with all the injuries in place, with the Pogba's out and the Martial and the Lingard's out, do you take that nil draw as a positive rather than a negative? Because I think with Jimenez, Neves, Traore, Jota, I think Wolves were jam packed with all their quality players. I think that nil. I so for me, I think it was a positive and not like let's say like a loss. So we go to Old Trafford like in apparently a week or so. So we have Norwich, we have Man City, we have Liverpool, we have Wolves again, and we might have a few players coming in as well. Dalot is coming in, Bailly is coming in, Fosu Mensah is coming in. So I would like to ask Nihar if he takes this nil as a positive going forward.
I would actually take this as a positive, as both the teams were pretty evenly matched. I wouldn't say like against Arsenal, we got totally blown away by Wolves. We had our chances, but I think Greenwood, he kind of reminded me of Lukaku under Mourinho's final season. He was the center forward, but he seemed to be drifting out wide rather than being in the box. Mata was spearheading our attacks. So I don't know. We had 10 shots, but none of them were on target. I guess the closest we got was that Rashford's first touch after coming on, but Cody made a brilliant block there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that was one of yeah. Sorry.
yeah, so he made a brilliant block there, and Mata's free kick was pretty close. I guess defensively we were pretty solid. I guess going forward, our end product was lacking. Apart from that, the build up was pretty good. Possession was, I guess, 49 to Wolves and 51 to us, if I'm not wrong. So even with equal or slightly more possession, we didn't seem like we are totally clueless with it. Just the end product, man.
Yeah, I think with the
Yeah,
Rashford chance
Smith,
and
don't you think though that
yeah,
uh, you asked the question about whether it's a positive result?
yeah,
I think in a sense it gives us a chance to watch one more Manchester United game. But at this point of time, I don't think that's a positive. I mean, you have to struggle for one more night to watch the United game if you think of it in that way. But I think all jokes apart, I think it was a decent result. I don't think it was a positive one, neither a negative one. I think it was a result that we have to take into consideration because of our current situation.
yeah,
Obviously, it would have been preferable had we won, but to be honest, looking at the game which took place, neither teams deserved to win. I don't think either teams did enough to win the game, and replay seems a fair result. But at the same time, we do have a lot of fixtures coming in, so whether that is actually a pretty good thing or a bad one, I'm not too sure. But I believe it also gives us a chance that if we are on a good run for just in case we go into a good run, so it gives us a chance to perform better in the replay and probably go to the next round. So let's just hope that we take it positively rather than it being a positive or a negative thing for us. I think
Yeah.
a jam-packed Old Trafford for the FA Cup replay seems a slightly positive notion. So let's hope that Ole and the team take it positively rather than hoping that it is positive and take strides accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the tie at Old Trafford should be very exciting, keeping in mind that it's a knockout game. And speaking of a performance versus Wolves, I think this has been Brandon Williams' 10th start for United, and he's yet to lose in a United shirt. We won 6 times when he started, and we've drawn 4 times. So it should be pretty clear now to Ole and his team that he should be a first choice left back and not Luke Shaw. And I think Luke Shaw, he needs to start realizing that his place is under serious threat from Williams. And I would like to ask Naved if he thinks that Williams can cement that left back positions for years to come.
Oh, that's a brilliant question. But yeah, I think I think exactly what most United fans think as well. I think Luke Shaw needs to be demoted to second choice, and I think Brandon Williams needs to start a lot more. While he's played 10 games, we've seen him play 10 games, 10 really good games, most of them at least. He
Yeah,
fights for the ball, he runs hard, he works hard, he's got that bite in him. You see when he attacks, he attacks with pace and he attacks with intent. That's not what you see in Luke Shaw these days. Luke Shaw's scared sometimes to jump into tackles. Luke Shaw's scared to make that make those darting runs sometimes when because maybe it's because of psychological issue because of the injury that he had with the broken leg, but
yeah,
he kind of sometimes does seem scared. He kind of does sometimes does like the intent. So yeah, I would absolutely love Brandon Williams to start a lot more. I would love to see him play in the Premier League a lot more against top players. I know he might struggle at first, but I think he'll learn quickly. He's already learned. He's already been playing really well, and he's come on stride since we've seen him at the start of the season, and playing and giving him more game time and playing him more Premier League games would just do him would put him in good stead for next season and for the coming season because I think and I feel he is the future left back for Man United.
absolutely. I think unless and until Luke Shaw doesn't step up, I think Williams is gonna take his chances as he's
I think
been doing
Smith.
so far. Yeah,
I think Smith. One thing which we need to also notice is people have been ignoring a couple of players. And I mean, yeah, the left back spot has always been a question mark. But I would like to take it. I would like to take this chance to actually praise a couple of our defenders. I think one of them would be Lindelof. I think he's been constantly churning out better performances than what he was churning out before. And I think Ashley Young, I think he always gets a stick for everything that he does. But to be honest, he's a very professional player, and I think uh, he's doing any kind of role that is assigned to him with complete honesty. And I think you can see that his performances recently have reflected that. Uh,
yeah,
he also he also looks very sound defensively, which he wasn't. So I believe he's improved a lot, and let's just hope that for our sake, Ashley Young does keep on doing that, so that we have a proper alternative for Wan Bissaka. And at the same time, I think Lindelof doing well is always a positive sign for us. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
those are two good defenders. I think Brandon Williams obviously should be first choice. I mean, there is no question in that. It is very obvious that, as Naveed mentioned, that the injury which Luke Shaw suffered has still has that mental scar in his brain, which sometimes does not allow him to go into tackles. But I think, despite of that, I think I do feel that Brandon Williams should be first choice. But at the same time, it is important to notice that Brandon is very young, and a lot of I think overplaying Brandon might just be a issue. I think sometimes you need to also take care of the fact that these are very young players, and too much load on young shoulders can sometimes be a problem. It is about game management for someone who is playing his first season. So I think for now, United might juggle between Shaw and Brandon Williams, but I think come next season or somewhere midway next season, Brandon Williams would definitely be first choice left back for Manchester United.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lindelof and Maguire will start to cement their positions and get better and better with every game. Now, we're just getting a statement from Ole right now saying that he's just said that there are a lot of people making statements without knowing what's going on past the dressing room door. Do you think this is a sly dig towards Robin van Persie?
Yes, I guess. Again, I think Ole is starting to enjoy a little bit of a battle right now, in
Yeah, but
some way or the other. But I don't think it makes sense for him to say that at this point of time. I think
yeah,
he's just trying to sway the media attention away from the performance of the players by creating this kind of a distraction. I think we are all used to this with Jose Mourinho pulling these kind of things out every now and again. But I think Ole has decided to copy a few of it from somewhere. I don't think it is going to draw away attention from the performances at all. But at the same point, he's just trying to do whatever he's trying to do. It doesn't make sense. I think what he says regarding knowing what happens inside the dressing room, I think he's the best man to judge that. But at the same point of time, it is quite visible on the football pitch that whatever is happening in that dressing room isn't always working out well for United. So it's about time that rather than picking up unnecessary fights, that Ole and his team sticks to actually looking for a alternative. I think one thing which you also need to see is that uh, people were talking about a lot of things, but we don't have a plan B right now. And our plan A is always counter-attacking football, and I don't think we have a plan B at all. And we need to look at that plan B right now and see whether we have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and how we can actually break down teams rather than hoping that we have a broken down team in front of us.
yeah. I think he needs to start concentrating on how he will deliver on the pitch and not what happens outside of it. Anyways, we play Man City next in the Carabao Cup semi-final at home, and looking forward to that one. And a disappointing week, a disappointing start to the new year so far, but I hope we bounce back soon, and we will be back for the preview for Man City. And anyways, any last thoughts from anyone for no Nave, do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah. We've come 18 games into the Premier League season. I think we're almost halfway through the season. I would
Yeah.
just like to ask everyone who's on here on the podcast, do you guys think we will make the top four? You don't have to explain it to me. Just say, do you think we'll make the top four or not? Smith, why don't you go first?
No, honestly, I don't think we will make the top four.
Nihar?
I don't think we'll make it either. I think it will be Liverpool, Leicester, Chelsea, and Man City.
Prathamesh, what do you think?
Yeah, Navid, I think we have a very remote chance of getting into top four. Having said that, it's going to be incredibly crucial that we find a way to find some form. But otherwise, I don't feel we are making it to the top four. I think Europa League is our only chance of actually getting Champions League football next season. So let's just hope for the best in the Europa League rather than focusing on the top four. That is what I feel.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Europa League should be our main priority this season rather than the top four because I don't think we're gonna make the top four as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So unity in that sense among us. And with that, we will be ending this our 10th podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.